All right, now guys, doing today gonna hop into the review of First Peter chapter 1. I believe this is part 4 or part 5. I don't really remember. The first things first, let it make sure you like the video, hit the like, exit full screen, scroll just a little bit, like it, full screen it back up. You feel me? So I believe we are on verses 7 and 8. No, we are on verse 8 and 9. Whom having well, let's go back, right? Verse 6. Wherein ye greatly rejoice. Wow, I can't read. Though now for a season, if need be, you are in heaviness through manifold temptations, right? We rejoice greatly through these short times that we're going through these temptations. Why? Verse 7. The trial of our faith being more precious than that of gold, right? The testing of our faith to make sure it's authentic is more precious than gold that perishes. Why? Because though it be tried with fire, just like gold, it may be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ, now and then. Right? So, this leads us to verse 8. We rejoice with our temptations, because the trial of our faith should be found for praise and honor at the glory and joy of Jesus Christ. Right? Rejoice at temptations, so that we praise and honor Jesus through the testing of our faith. Right? So, verse 8. Whom having not seen, we haven't seen Jesus, we love, and in whom, though now we see him not, we believe, we rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls. Right? So the end of our faith is the salvation of our souls. And you're thinking, how can we dive this deep into these two verses? Right? Whom you have not seen, right? We don't see Jesus, we love Jesus. We don't see him, we believe in him, we rejoice. His joy is unspeakable and all this stuff. And he's like, these people, right? The spreading of the word of God to so many people, they never saw Jesus, right? The crowd that he was talking to was probably not Jews. And even if it was, they would have hated Jesus, claiming to be the Messiah most of the time, right? And even if it wasn't, they think, what do I got to do with this Jewish guy? This random Jew guy died on the cross for me. I don't know, Jew guy, right? But here, Pastor Paul talks about that's not the point of this. The point is through the trial of our faith. Where does this faith come from? Because we can't see him, yet we love him. We don't see him, yet we believe in him. So why are we happy when we're supposed to be sad? Why are we praising and honoring when our faith is getting tested? When these people are pushing up against our thoughts and ideas with theirs, why are we happy and praising our same thing? And he starts talking about this evidence. He starts talking about a lot of the world has to deal with external evidence, right? Science loves to talk about the things we can see, the things we can touch, the things we can feel, and all that type of jazz. That's why it's going against the Bible, because a lot of it doesn't have to do with what we can do on the physicality scale. It has to do with what we feel on the inside. We don't see it. We don't see it now. We haven't seen it then, and we won't see it later in our lifetime. In the sense of, Jesus himself crucified and all that, salvation, dying right in front of death, all that. We're not going to see that right now, nor have we seen it in the past, nor will we see that same thing in the future, right? Maybe in a vision or dream or whatever, and we will experience salvation. But if there's no evidence, we can't do it, right? But that's where Pastor Paul starts and talks about apologetics, and he gives his own little definition of what apologetics is, right? We can find it through here. All right. Apologetics is the intellectual defense for the truth of Christianity. Intellectual defense for the truth of Christianity through reasoned and logical arguments based on evidence, right? But the issue is, and this is my own personal stance, which I think I heard one time before, not from Pastor Paul, right? But because Christianity has to do with faith and belief, I don't think it can ever truly be proven, so to speak. Because to have it be proven, you take out the faith and the belief, because it's based on evidence. It's not based on true, genuine belief that something happened, because then you just have evidence. And if you have evidence that something happened 100% true, if you don't believe in it, you're not believing in it, you're lying to yourself, right? It takes the belief out of it, it takes the faith out of it. I gotta have faith that it happened and not believe in it, right? Oh, I can't believe it, people say. You can't believe it. Well, you got to, because it happened, right? And though we technically don't know if it happened, we know through internal evidence. So Pastor Paul gives us a list of some questions. Do you know that Jesus is alive and living within you? Do you? Are you confident that you are a child of God? Are you? And do you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are heaven bound? Do you? And lastly, do you know who you are? Right? And Pastor Paul said, I don't have to check my underwear and the writing I put on it to know who I am. I don't have to look at my ID, my social security number. I don't got to look at that stuff to know who I am. Because who are you? Who are you really? Right? I've had to talk with some people. Does your name define you? Your job? I had to talk today. Does a degree that you hold or some knowledge you may know prove that you're smart? No, it proves that you're informed on a subject matter according to the standards of somebody else. But it doesn't necessarily overall mean that you're a smart individual. You can have a doctorate and still be stupid. The incidence rate of alcoholism in doctors is very high, right? Higher than a lot of other professions. And you're like, the people that care about our health and are told to do no harm to us are putting one of the most poisonous, toxic things we have into their body on a more than average normal basis continuously, to the point where we looking at them like, y'all are the ones doing it, the ones giving the medication out to the people that shouldn't be doing it. Y'all are the ones doing it on a crazy scale. So yeah, they smart, but sometimes you could be so smart and be so dumb at the same time. You look and you say, dang, really? Him, that one, that guy, right? We look at the, you know what I'm saying, dude? Sometimes we look at the people in power and we think, you this, and this much power, and you don't got this much brain cells, right? And I'm not here to point the foot, but everybody's doing it. You know, you can point the foot at anybody who make a dumb decision. You know, you this, and you can't do this, you this, and you can't do that. Like, it's a whole bunch of things. Just because you got stuff doesn't mean you know what that is. Do you know who you are? And all this, he says, culminates to internal evidence, right? And then he takes us down a nice rabbit hole of biblical verses, right? And we will just go one by one down them. So he talked about the fact that even Jesus, right? You want to talk about we don't have physical evidence. We can't have physical evidence or anything like that, right? It's all internal. It's not all internal, so to speak. Why? Because even Jesus used external evidence. John 10:24 through 25, and then also verses 37 through 38. Jews gathered around him and said, how long are you going to keep us in suspense? If you're the Christ, tell us plainly. And Jesus said, I told you. You don't believe. The works I do are in my Father's name. They bear the witness about me. If I'm not doing the works of my Father, then don't believe me. But if I do them, even though you don't believe me, believe the works that you may know and understand the Father's in me and I am in the Father. He said, listen, the things that I'm doing, that's enough talk, right? A picture paints 1,000 words. Actions speak louder than words. Check my actions. I don't care what you do past that. Look at my actions, right? If I'm not doing them, then don't look at me. But if I do them, even if you don't look at me, look at them. You know what I'm saying? That you may know and understand. Not just know, but you're going to understand it too. I'm going to make sure you understand it. Right? And he's talking about that external evidence. So then he brings back up the list, talking about internal evidence. He's like, Jesus did these things. And nowadays, we still people doing these things. We see people doing these things. And it's, why are you doing these things? How are you doing these things? We told you. Or I told you before. Pastor Paul told you before. The Bible told you before for the past 1900 years. Be that light in the darkness. Shine for God. Give your life to, when people look at you and ask you, why are you doing these things? And what purpose does this gain? You say, God's telling me to do it, or I'm doing it for God. That's going to make them take a step back. That's going to make them take just a step back and say, whoa. And then they probably going to ask you, well, how do you know your God told you to do that? I'm in my major, right? I tell my professors, I'm like, I don't have much experience here because God put me here. Not once has anyone looked at me and said, huh. And how do you know God wanted you here with your little experience? Nobody ever said that. They just embrace it in the fact of, hey, that means this kid is determined and he's going to make it work. Because that's what I say. I'm like, God put me here. Who am I to not give my all into it, right? Hey, I'm not going to cap. I do not be giving my all. I'm going to be so for real. Me doing this channel, that be taking time away from the 100-page reading assignments I have to do per class. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I still give God my time in between a Sunday to Sunday. That's I love that bar so much. Caleb Gordon wrote that. I don't remember the song name, but that's my favorite bar. God, I give you my time in between a Sunday to Sunday. Cause like I don't know. To me, that shit hard. I don't know, but literally. So he said all this stuff is based on the fact of internal evidence. You know what I'm saying? But Jesus used this external evidence, which doesn't mean we can't use it. But we see all this stuff line up, but we see it just all line up, and it comes back. And when I tell you, it gets so much deeper than that. Where the part 2 is gonna be so deep into this, but this is just a warm up. This is just a warm up. But the part 2 to this specific part is gonna be crazy because this is just the one sermon from Pastor Paul. This is just one sermon. This is his part 3. I think this is my part 5. But I'll catch y'all next time. All right, that's gonna be the end of the video. Hope you guys have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.